Just have a listen to this for a moment.
First Anglo nation to fall will be New Zealand because it's got such a small population. It's just the easiest one to do.
Yeah,
it's the first Anglo nation down.
Modi turned up in New Zealand, and once again, as you just see all over Europe, it's just all the Indians there with their Indian flags cheering and celebrating his name as he stands there with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who is just this gormless fool who can't see that he's been outplayed here in a long game. Once you've allowed these temporary workers into the country, there is already within New Zealand an entire social network of their own kin who are going to be determined to keep them established as a part of New Zealand's population.
Yeah.
All you're going to be is the vassal of India, and you'll just do by dictate whatever they tell you to do without the formality of the actual paperwork. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, these are the only sorts of policies you would actually implement if you wanted to undermine your own democracy. Right. No one who actually cared about their country would ever allow these sorts of things to happen or to take root within their society.
In a functional society, every party across the political spectrum would say, okay, maybe citizens should be the ones that should vote and no one else.
New Zealand First has announced that they will be campaigning to change electoral law to ensure that only citizens have the right to vote. That'd be a really good thing, actually.
It's a pretty basic thing to maintain an actual nation, is only having your citizens able to vote. It's kind of insane that there's ever a standard that non-citizens can vote.
Yes, especially when, if you're bringing in 100,000 people a year, that has the potential to very, very rapidly change the nature of the political settlement of your country.
Especially when the population isn't 100 million, it's 5 million.
Absolutely. Currently, any permanent resident who has gone through the normal process after just 2 years of living in New Zealand can vote, which is mental, genuinely mental. In addition, anyone who is here on certain visas that have no expiry date are technically eligible to vote after just 1 year of living in New Zealand.
Probably the first Anglo nation to fall will be New Zealand because it's got...
Far out. Lots in there in that short clip. I've seen changes in Aotearoa in New Zealand over the years. It's been happening for a long time. I remember growing up and the dairies and the shops were owned mostly by what I would view as non-Māori, Pākehā people. And growing up, we just thought, oh man, they're rich. You know, the non-Māori, they're rich people. They own the shops and they've got all the lollies and the treats, my young mind. But man, it didn't take long before I joined the army, way back, well, seems like way back when, around about 30 odd years ago. And it seemed like then, just before I joined the army, that dairies or the little convenience stores, whatever you want to call them, were, you couldn't find. I didn't notice myself walking into a dairy that didn't have Indians as owners. Now, I don't consider myself a racist at all. Got friends who are Indians, I've got friends with people from all walks of life and different ethnicities and that sort of thing. And New Zealand being a multicultural country, I think that's cool. No issue with it at all. But it is a concern for me, I guess, these days, more so, probably because there's more chatter about it these days. And then listening to these guys and then seeing what's happening in the UK, what's happening in Australia, what's happening here, obviously in NZ. There's been lots of talk about that. What's his name? The Destiny Church fella, Brian Tamaki. He's I guess for want of a better term, been viewed to put his foot in his mouth more than a few times, which I probably have and will do, no doubt. And then so much so that it caused the police to go to his place and confiscate his weapons and remove his firearms license a couple of days prior to, for some of his words in which he shared and said against Indian people. I don't agree with the comments and the words that Brian has spoken about, but some of the words that these guys are speaking about here, in relation to the voting side of things in particular, and governments, if you don't have to be a citizen, that's just crazy to me. I didn't realize you can have people here. We've got potentially people here in New Zealand who don't have to be a citizen and they can vote. People that are here on a visa don't have an expiry date, they can vote. I would have thought surely only citizens can vote. And I don't know what he said about the 2-year thing. People that have been here less than 2 years or maybe about 2 years or whatever, who are still not a citizen and they still have the opportunity to vote. Like, those are some serious warning signs. If you're going to have 100,000 people a year coming into your country from one particular other country, in this case, the example that they've used is India, and they can start to quickly vote within the country. Well, obviously, they're going to vote for the leaders who are allowing more and more of their people to come over. And yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing. Personally, I don't know if that's a good thing. It's probably a good thing for those in power in the government because they keep getting voted in. But I don't know if that's a good thing in terms of maintaining your country's original identity and all that sort of thing. Like Shubs is doing some stuff on Radio Aotearoa and speak with a number of people. And he speaks with people, anybody that's willing to speak with him, basically, and delves into a lot of these topics. I'm no politician. It's not something that I study or delve into. But I guess it is concerning for me to hear these guys talking about if that's the state of some of our legislation with regards to people, doesn't matter, like whether you come from India or from another country. It just so happens that it sounds like there's lots of Indians that have come over here to New Zealand, and there is. And it seems like they seem to work the system very well in their favour. So much so that, sadly, and it wouldn't be unique to Indian people, but sadly you see a lot of stuff in the news whereby Indians ripping off their own people, sponsoring them, bringing them over, or ripping them off in terms of the work and the pay that they give them, and or not compensating them or paying them adequately, etc. It's just, I don't know, there's some not very good warning signs there, at least for me anyway, as I think about those things that I know of and then listening to these guys. But that aside, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Is New Zealand turning into India? Are our immigration laws too soft? Are we just padding the pockets or the bald heads of current leaders like old Luxon? I don't know. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. And I think that's probably partly why I think it's a good thing that Shubs has conversations with people in those councils and all that sort of thing, local councils, etc., and or members of government who are willing to speak with them and talk about it. So still, without being on the inside, without seeing the ins and outs, without me personally taking the time to read what the legislation and stuff is in and around that, and how that could potentially impact our people here in NZ, like citizens and the country as a whole, not just now temporarily, but a forward focus, a forward outlook in terms of what will that look like if you keep letting in a minimum 100,000 people from one particular other country or ethnicity. What does that look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years? Is that going to be more than, is it planned on increasing to more than 100,000 per year? And there's a whole bunch of questions that get thrown up for me. But anyway, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. And feel free to let rip and let blast if you think it sounds too racist what I'm talking about. I don't particularly care because I know within myself I'm not a racist. But it is a concern for me as I listen to these guys. Sound like, guys from the UK, and their observations of what they're seeing, and making this first guy making the comment that he believes New Zealand will be the first country to go. People get a bit caught up in terms of the term Anglo-Saxon, and people view that as white supremacist talk and all that sort of stuff. I don't particularly care. Again, it's not something that I've looked into or that I'm particularly worried about. New Zealand is a multicultural country. For the most part, I think we largely had non-Māori and Māori people here, and now we're fortunate and blessed to have many people from all sorts of different places, the Pacific Islands, from Asia, from the US, from other parts of the world. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think there needs to be and should be some measures taken to ensure, like to do some forecasting and to ensure that the country doesn't become overrun basically by people from another country and then just become the minority within the country, you know what I mean? So anyway, whack your thoughts in the comments, let me know, and we'll see you on the next video.